everyone, I'm Kaitlin.
And I'm Jillian.
And we are the hosts of the OK Drama Podcast.
Where two friends recap and break down K-dramas one episode at a time.
What? I never know what to say after you're done.
I know, it's like quiet. Yeah, that's what we do. We recap and break down. And then have mini breaks of nonsense talk.
Yeah, especially now that this is our only time to talk to each other.
I know. I mean, we could totally do it other times too. But I feel like it's just hard to stay connected with people all the time.
100%.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we are here with the last two episodes of Itaewon Class.
Woo.
Woo woo. Obviously we're gonna recap and break them down, as Jill mentioned. But how did you feel overall about these last two episodes? Now that it's done.
Yeah, it got pretty fucking intense really quick.
Yeah.
And a lot of shit went down. And then of course, as dramas do, it ended on a pretty good note. Everyone doing their thing and shit and being happy. But yeah, it was action, crazy for a very long time.
Yeah, it definitely took an action-y turn, which was unexpected for a drama that was pretty, I don't want to call it laid back, because there was definitely drama, but more plots and what am I trying to say? It wasn't physical. It wasn't
the
physical
K2
action base. Yeah, it wasn't the K2. I feel very satisfied with the ending.
Yes, same.
So I couldn't be happier for basically everyone involved. I feel like no one was treated unfairly by the writers. So I'm happy with it.
Totally. So, I do wish there was a little bit more Kim Tony though. I liked Tony. Felt like they didn't show him enough.
I agree with that. If anything, we should have gotten more Tony. And I kind of wanted to see what happened to Gunsu after he went to America, just because I like Gunsu, but I don't know if anyone else felt that way. I kind of wanted what happened to Sua at the end to also happen to Gunsu. Not that exact same scenario, obviously, but that general feeling of he was able to move on with his life. But it's fine. I'm just going to assume he did. So in my head.
All right, shall we?
Yes. So episode 15 starts, basically, it's right at how 14 ended. Gunsu and Tseri are at that meeting spot with all, the mobsters. A van starts, heading towards Gunsu, and Tseri pushes him out of the way. And then Tseri gets hit by the van, takes that nasty tumble down that hill. Gunsu's freaking out, and I'm really happy because Gunsu calls the police, like a responsible boy.
They actually let him to. That's surprising.
Yeah. And then so obviously the mobsters are not happy with him calling the cops, so they start to surround him. Also, I'm pretty sure they wanted to beat him up anyway. So Gunsu realizes what's happening, and again, like a smart boy, he calls Seungkwan, and Seungkwan thankfully answers the phone and kind of hears the commotion, and Gunsu calls out to him and tells him about the situation, Yiso's kidnapped, help us, etc. And then the gangsters stomp on his phone, knock him out, and then they throw him in the back of a van with Yiso. And I was like, oh, well, at least they're together in the back of the van.
That's true. They're not alone.
Gunwon and the mob boss are at the top of the hill and they're looking at Seiri's body, and Gunwon notes the familiar scene, but he has an interesting look on his face. I can't tell if he is like, oh shit, or like kind of PTSD,
oh shit,
like what have I done?
Yeah.
Or like, well, this is something I did. Again.
Yeah, he was kind of just like, I remember this. Fucking freak.
Yeah, I can't figure him out. He's a fucking weirdo.
He seems like he might be like, yeah, he seems like he might be slightly bipolar in some way. Just like, or like weird like personality shifts. Like 1 minute he seems remorseful and would maybe help, and then other minute he's like wanting to murder someone and screaming and just losing his shit to like a random person in a car. Like, he's got some major issues.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely should have had a psychiatrist or something in his life.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, weird look on his face. The mob boss then apologizes to Seiri and is like, hey dude, sorry, it's just business. And I'm like, okay guy, whatever. Also, I love how Seungkwan calls him out later on for that mentality. But then everyone starts to hear the sirens because Gunsu called the police, and they bail. Seiri arrives at the hospital, and everyone is freaking out, and the news of Seiri's condition goes viral. Minjung and Officer Oh join the Danbam crew and Suwa at the hospital. And then we see Seungkwan doing some amateur detective work, like Jill. And Seungkwan pulls Officer O aside and shows him photos of Yisa's kidnapping. And Officer O is like, oh shit, like this is some sinister stuff going down. So Seungkwan is like, hey, you know, let's try to figure this out. And then Seungkwan takes off as he remembers a suspicious van in the parking lot earlier. And he tells Officer O that he thinks he knows who's behind everything.
It's so funny because then that means he likely knew those guys, but just didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, I guess. Or maybe he just, like, didn't really register it. But, and then, like, as he was trying to jog his memory, he was like, oh shit, like, did I see that person? I don't know. Maybe he did recognize them and was just like, oh, maybe one of my old comrades is in the hospital. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted nothing to do with them either. Like, if he saw them, better to ignore them and pretend like he didn't see them for the sake of not getting into that group of people anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
President Jong hears the news of Seiri's condition, and he learns from Secretary Kim that Gunsu didn't come to work that day, and they can't get a hold of him. So he is kind of connecting some dots here and knowing that one or two of his sons are involved in some way. Gunwon then visits a tied-up Gunsu and Yiso at the abandoned warehouse, and he's abusing them. He's telling them all this shit. He's hitting them, scaring Yiso. Gunsu begs him to let Yiso go, but he tells her that Yiso is the main key to getting back at Seiri and Gunsu. And he's talking about how they're both in love with her. They both came to find her, and they both kind of fell into this trap. And then he also says, he reads like an article talking about Seiri and saying that he died, and then he's like, that's what I hope anyway. Like a fucking asshole.
It was almost like not.
Yeah, exactly. Psych. After Gunwon leaves, Yiso stops acting and crying, and she immediately goes back to normal Yiso, and she starts rubbing the ropes that her hands are tied up, like behind her back, on a corner of something. And Gunsu is really surprised, and Yiso explains that she's trying to play the part to deceive Gunwon because he barely tied her up, which means he doesn't think she can really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I'm like, damn, this girl's going to be on an episode of I Survived. Like, she's just playing the role and doing what she needs to do and fucking untying herself and shit. Saving the day here. The mob boss and Gunwan get into it a little bit because Gunwan starts laughing in that boss's face, which I don't think you should ever laugh in a gangster or mob boss's face.
No.
Ever.
We shouldn't, like, interact with them at all, but yeah, especially don't laugh at them.
Yeah. But basically, like, the guy asked where his other half of the money is, and Gunwan is like, your other half, and starts laughing. And then he tells him that he won't be paid until the job is done. And then the mob boss and his gang start to kind of regret getting involved with him because he's a loser and he's going to end up getting them in trouble. Then we see Seungkwan has arrived to see the mob boss, and the guards outside the office will not let him in. And he's just kind of fucking around with them, like, asking them questions. And then he starts shouting the boss's name, saying, like, let me in, I know you're in there, yada yada.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but, and Seungkwan mentions this later, but it almost seems like these mob guys don't usually do something this, like, violent, maybe?
Yeah.
Because Seungkwan later says, like, last time I checked, you guys weren't lowlifes. Like, you weren't kidnapping innocent children.
Yeah.
Well, they're not children, but yeah, no like, reason. Innocent young people. And fucking Gunwan does that thing again where he's like, I can control you guys because I have money, and screw you. So, ugh.
Yeah, it's so interesting, like, how much money did he give him to get him to turn on Seirui and just be like, okay, we'll kill him?
I feel like he said it was like 1 billion won, which is like $1 million.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I thought they said that in the subtitles. So that's crazy. I mean, I don't know. So back at the hospital, we go into Siri's like unconscious dream state since he is still, I guess it's not a coma. I don't know. He's unconscious due to the accident. And in that dream state, he is back with his dad in his high school uniform, and he looks confused but starts to cry when he sees his dad. And he goes over there and hugs him, and his dad is like, what's going on? Like, did you have a good day at school? Yeah, it's sweet. I miss Siri's dad. So, that's just like a quick little scene. And then we're back at the mob boss's office, and Seungkwan keeps banging on the door, demanding to see his old boss. And the guards outside get tired of it and knock him down. So Seungkwan reports the assault to the police and announces his suspicion about their involvement in Siri's accident. And then we get a nice moment where Seungkwan kind of parrots Siri's words that Siri said to Seungkwan in prison and tells the gangsters not to determine his worth after they tell him no one will believe his words because he's an ex-con. And he was like, you don't know me, and people will believe my words because I am a director at IC, bitch, and, like, flicks his card in their face.
And they're all,
yes. What? Good for Seungkwan.
Yeah, totally.
These are great episodes for him, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I think they definitely show his, like, whole characterization and how much he's changed from, like, the whole prison scene. And we get a lot of him, like, being the hero and being a badass.
Yeah, totally. Who knew he was so good at fighting?
It comes with his old job, I guess.
Yeah. Back at the hospital, Suwa begs Seri to wake up, and Hyunyi receives a phone call from Seungkwan at the police station and asks if Suwa is there. Then we are back in Seri's dream state, and he is now at the pub with his dad. And this is the same pub that he and his dad went to after Seri got expelled or whatever, and his dad quit Janga. So this time, he's dressed as an adult. And they just kind of talk about Seri's life, and his dad asks him if he's made friends. And Seiri's like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Like, these are all my friends. And he starts listing them. But then for some reason, he can't remember Yiso. Like, his vision or the memory with her in it gets fuzzy. And I was so afraid it was going to be an amnesia moment. Like, he was going to wake up and not remember her at all. And I was like, don't do this to me. Like, I don't want an amnesia moment in the show. Like, please. But spoiler alert, he remembers her. So it's fine. I don't know why they threw that in there, though. Maybe to make people like me nervous.
Yeah, and maybe to, like, get to that point where he does remember her and it's like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah, that's true.
I gotta save her.
Because I guess if he remembered her right away, he'd be like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah, exactly. Hyunyi and Suwa meet Seungkwan at the police station, and Hyunyi freaks out over his injuries from that fight, and the cop fails to cover for him about what specifically happened. And Seungkwan sees the mob boss in the parking lot as they're leaving, and he confronts him, demanding to know where Yiso is, but the boss denies his involvement. Seungkwan threatens the mob boss with violence if Yiso and Gunsu don't come back, and he just doesn't give a fuck at this point. He's like, I'll kick all your asses, I'll kill you all, I don't give a shit. It all comes back to him. Seungkwan gives Suwa the envelope of evidence from the police station, and then she meets President Jang, and she tells him that Gunwan is involved in Seroyi's accident and Yiso and Gunsu's abduction. And then she shows him the proof. And he's kind of like, at first, Gun isn't capable of this, but then she points out that the hit and run before and President Jang's actions have turned him into a monster that he is now. And President Jang immediately goes into, like, cover-up mode and discussing, like, what we need to do to get rid of this stuff and make sure it doesn't come to light. And she's just totally disgusted by it. And those photos, like, they're pretty damning of what's happening here.
Yeah, totally. And I think Suwa has a line where she's like, so is this how you were 15 years ago? Like, is this the same conversation you had?
Yeah. And at some point he, like, gets mad and yells at her.
Yeah. He's like, don't talk about my family.
And he, like, tells her to leave or something. He's so weird.
I know.
Yiso and Gunsu finally break free, and they get into an argument about his lack of faith in themselves and how not everyone can be like Seroyi. Yiso tells him he's wrong. Then we see Suwa finally submit her resignation letter. And then she also submits, like, she hands him some little, like, thing in a pouch. And she says that it's data that she's collected for years that show all of their shady dealings and corruption. And that there's a limit to influencing people with power and fear. And she warns him to worry about the damage to Janga instead of the cover-up. And then as she leaves, we see her remember her promise to pay Mr. Park, which is Seroyi's dad, back threefold once she becomes successful. And she looks back at her resignation and evidence, and she becomes teary-eyed, realizing she hopefully finally paid him back.
Yeah, I was like, thank you, Suwa.
I know, fucking took her long enough.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess she was just playing the long game. Like,
I guess.
A little, she just, what is it? Like, inserted herself across enemy lines and
yeah.
It was just collecting all of this stuff. I was wondering if she always intended to expose Janga or like, and President Jang, or if she was just like, I'm going to keep this in case I need it.
Well, I think she said that it's stuff from, like, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So we cut 5 years now, right? Or 4 years from when they first started to do the, what the fuck is it called? The franchising stuff to now. And then before that, when Gunwan was arrested again and in prison. So I guess during that time, like, right before he got arrested, maybe? Something like that.
Yeah, I guess, because, yeah, I think it must have been... okay, because I think it kind of seems like she started doing it basically not as soon as she got hired, but maybe shortly thereafter, as soon as she had access to that information.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Seiri was, was it 7 years that he was working on doing those shitty jobs of, like, working in the factory and the deep sea fishing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for her. I felt like this was so redeeming for her, like, such a redeeming moment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you no longer hate her?
I hate her less.
Okay.
She's still not a favorite character.
Yeah,
I'm still not interested in where she goes or what she does, really.
Yeah.
Because she never really showed, like, I don't know. Just throughout, she never showed anyone of what side she was on or, like, where her actual loyalties stood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So, back at the warehouse, Yiso and Gunsu keep talking about Seiri, and Yiso tells Gunsu that it's not impossible to live your life according to your values, that some people just give up because it's not convenient to always think about, like, what's right and what's wrong and what's important to you. So Gunsu is worried that Seiri died because of him, and Gunsu is just kind of, like, understandably spiraling into, like, oh god, like, we're gonna die here, like, this is the worst, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And Yiso gets angry, and I think she tells him, like, this is why you were never going to beat Seiri, and basically rejects any possibility that Seiri died because she says that Seiri has never let her down. Also, I kind of feel bad for Gunsu. I mean, this is totally just their relationship. Gunsu is, like, sensitive and worried, and Yiso is just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
stop being such a baby.
Yeah.
You're not as cool as Seiri. So then we are back in Seiri's dream. He has followed his dad to a bridge, and his dad what?
Hey, a bridge.
Oh, yeah.
A bridge in a dream. We've seen those before.
Yes, we have. This one looks a lot smaller, though. A lot more modest. So, he's followed his dad to the bridge, and his dad explains that all of Seiri's pain and hard nights will be over once he finally crosses over. This reminds Seiri of Yiso in how she used to not want to be reborn, like, if reincarnation exists, because life is hard. Seiri and his dad hug it out, and even though Sei's life has been hard and he has only lived thus far by hating someone, he can't cross over yet because he has friends and family who need him, and he looks forward to the future he will spend with them. And I'm like, yes, your life has been hard, but you're now also rich, and the, like, owner and CEO of a very successful company. Like, of course you want to go back to that. Also, your
life has turned around, definitely.
Yeah. Not a tough decision to make, I don't think. I mean, but, like, we don't know how sad Seiri still is about his dad. I'm sure, like...
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a little tempting, but, yeah, I mean... Anyway. Blah, blah, blah. So... he and his dad, like, hug some more, and they cry because Seiri obviously misses his dad and apologetic that he can't go with him. But his dad tells Seiri, quote, "I'm proud of you, son. Continue to live on." And I kind of tear up. And then his dad, walks across the bridge. After Seiri watches his dad leave, he wakes up in the hospital and starts to basically uncontrollably sob. And Suwa is there, and she tries to comfort him, but it's, like, hardcore ugly crying. And also I'm like, okay, your whatever best friend situation has just woken up from a coma, and he just starts crying. Like, that's really intense.
And then she also at some point just, like, pats him on the back. Like, didn't even know what to do for him. It was like a weird pat on the back. Like, 2 big pats. I was like, bitch, give him a hug or something. Like, hold his hand. I don't know.
I feel like I would be the same way. I'd be like, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry. So Seungkwan kind of watches the situation play out, and we hear a voiceover, and he says that even though this is his first time seeing Seri cry, he somehow feels relieved. Probably because he's alive. So. Yeah.
So crying doesn't matter. He's there. He's okay. President Jang gets a call from Gunwon confirming that he has in fact abducted Gunsu and Yiso. He tells his dad that he won't actually hurt Gunsu since he will be the successor, and he knows that it is important to his dad. Gunwon admits that he always wanted to make his dad proud and wonders where it all went wrong, and he reminds President Jang of the night where he killed the chicken and admits that he used to be scared, but now he's not because of his dad. He hates his life. He hates that his life has turned out this way and vows to end Seroyi, because in his eyes, it's Seroyi's fault.
So dumb.
I know. Gunwon tells his dad where he is and says that only he can stop him since this is all he thinks of him. Since this is all thanks to him, sorry. All his fault. Yeah, always everyone else's fault.
Yeah, I thought President Jang's face was like... it was a little surprising to me because he actually seemed concerned for Gunwon for once. I don't know if it was because he was concerned for his son or just because he's like, you've fucking ruined everything. You've really
fucked everything. Yep.
It's probably maybe a little bit of both. But
yeah. God, this family.
Yeah.
Gunwon goes to visit the room where Gunsu and Yiso were being held, but he sees that Gunsu has disappeared. He runs into the room and Gunsu hits him on the head with a piece of wood. Yiso's about to stab him with a piece of wood. Fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's pissed and is like, if I do this, they'll just think it's self-defense anyway, so it's okay. No one's going to get in trouble. But Gunsu convinces her not to, as Seroyi wouldn't want her to kill someone for him. Then Seroyi goes to leave the hospital immediately to go and find her. But Suwa stops him and she tries to make him stay because he's too weak and the situation is dangerous. She holds on to him and he admits that he likes Yiso. And she tells him everyone already knew except for him. And tries to make him stay one last time. And he tells her he has to go and try because he'll fall apart if something bad happens. Lee.
I'm happy this was basically the last time Suwa and Seri have this conversation of like,
yes,
who do you like? I like this person. Please.
Do you like
I don't
me?
Know. It was tiresome, but this is the last time, so it's fine.
Agreed.
So, Yiso and Gunsu are running through this very confusing looking abandoned warehouse thing. And they're running away, but they're eventually cornered by the gangsters. Gunwon fucking loses it because he's bleeding from the back of his head after Gunsu hit him. And he is just like, you know what? Seri, I'm done with him. We're gonna get Yiso now. Because he knows that will affect Seri and Gunsu more than just killing them. And it's scary because they're like fucking cornered. These two, I keep wanting to call them kids. They're not kids. These two like young people who are fucking like beaten up, and all these scary old dudes with like headlights on them and stuff. So then Seri gets a text from Gunwon. Again, what? Why? Why are you texting?
I know.
Seri? And it seems like it's like with his phone number, like not from like a burner or something.
Proof, so, man.
Yeah. But I guess this is kind of a thing where it's almost like Gunwon didn't care if he got caught.
Yeah.
Because I think he tells Gunsu like, because Gunsu tells him, think of the consequences. Like, you don't want this to get any worse. Like, just let us go. And I think Gunwon even says, like, I already thought of the consequences. That's why you guys aren't dead yet, or something like that. So, I don't know. I guess prison life suited Gunwon. But yeah, so Seru gets a message from Gunwon informing him that President Jang knows where he is. Seru then asks Seungkwan for help, and they meet President Jang to ask for information. President Jang initially denies knowing anything, because he's a fucking asshole. But then Seru threatens to report everything to the police, and he's like, yeah, your dumb son texted me and told me you know everything, so, like, start talking. Then President Jang, he's in such bad shape. He's, like, fucking wheezing. And he's like, you know what would make me give you the information? You have to kneel again. And it's so ridiculous. I think, like, later on in the notes I said this, but, like, fucking Seungkwan is just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't know the story at all.
No. And it's just, like, so ridiculous at this point. It's so dumb.
His weird obsession with kneeling. I don't get it.
Yeah, he's just, like, so obsessed with being the most powerful person in the room, I guess. He also should have gone to therapy.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Seru remembers all of his confrontations with President Jang, but then eventually kneels thinking this was the easiest decision he's ever made, or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I mean, okay. In my head, I probably would have just kneeled right away because I don't care about self-respect. But it's like, if you are literally holding the people that I love hostage, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking kneel because I don't give a fuck anymore. And you're a crazy person. And if that's all it takes, then of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So weird.
And that's, like, basically the end of the episode, right?
Oh, yes. End of episode.
He kneels.
Yep.
And in the background, Seungkwan is like, what the fuck? He's kind of just, like, pacing. Like, I just want to kick this old man's ass.
Yeah. Totally.
So, final episode, 16. Starts where 15 left off. Seru kneels in front. And President Jang is, like, cackling and being fucking crazy. And he thinks of Iso. President Jang asks how Seru feels, and he replies saying he feels pathetic. But then he turns the question back on President Jang, and he wonders if he feels good about himself, and admits that even though President Jang has been his enemy, he actually looked up to him in some way and tried to follow in his footsteps. And these are the moments where I kind of feel like President Jang, like, to him, Seru is kind of like the son he never had.
Yes.
Because he followed his books. He worked really hard to bring his business up from, like, nothing to what it is at this point, you know, with this big company. And it's probably something that he always wanted from his own sons, and probably could have gotten from Gunsu, because Gunsu was really good at his job. But he just was such a shitty dad. He didn't foster either of his sons in a way to get them to be anywhere where he was as a businessman. And it's just, like, an interesting moment where Seru is telling him this stuff, like, that he kind of followed in his footsteps.
Yeah,
and
it kind of reminds me... Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of, like, the same feeling of Seiryu calling President Jang when he realized that he was dying.
Yes.
And Seiryu was like, you can't die yet. And President Jang is like, you're the only person who wants me alive.
Yep.
These people have such weird relationships with each other. Like, they're kind of dependent on each other in some weird way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, like, the idea that they haven't gotten along, like, they've been enemies for all these years, it's somehow brought them closer together in, like, following each other and paying attention and stuff, and their little, like, back and forth moments. But Seiryu admits that he actually regrets wasting his life following in the footsteps of a, quote, disgusting old grouch. which is totally true, this guy.
Yeah, I said it's the perfect description for him. Disgusting old grouch.
Seungkwan at this point is just, like, hanging in the background. Again, like, what the fuck is happening? Like, we're wasting time. Who is this old fucking man? I don't care. I just want to know where Yiso is so I can go save her. Mm-hmm. And President Jang is kind of looking embarrassed and just, he's, like, still talking to Seo-yi about, like, I guess his power and how great he is. And he's holding the card that has the information of where Yiso's at. Mm-hmm. And Seo-yi just snatches it from his hand, and he and Seungkwan leave him behind, and he just kind of stands there alone again, because honestly, President Jung is always alone, even though like he has his sons and stuff. Like, he doesn't have really anyone, because he didn't do what Seo-yi did in like having like businesses, family, or whatever, and trusting his employees and caring about them.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the mobsters, and they are closing in on Gunsu and Yiso. Yiso and Gun pick up a shovel and a pipe to defend themselves, and Yiso's like, okay, we gotta attack on 3, and she's saying quietly. But after she counts to 3, she totally just throws the shovel and starts running, leaving Gunsu behind, and she's like, good luck, Gunsu!
She's like, hold them off for me.
Gunsu starts swinging at the dudes, telling them Yiso told him to hold out, and he's gonna trust her, and he's gonna do what he needs to do. And then Seo-yi makes sure that he and Seungkwan are on the same page, since he knows it's gonna be dangerous. And Seungkwan is like, Yiso's family, even though she's a brat and can be annoying, like, our goal is the same here. We're working to save her, and I don't care what happens. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you should have known that Seungkwan was going to be a badass and totally into it. He's going to do what he's got to do. Like, he's not going to be like, oh, I could die. Someone could die. Oh, I'm out of here. No way.
Seungkwan always seems down to, like, do whatever.
He's all in.
He is that friend who is just like, you need help with something? I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So the mobsters start, like, beating the shit out of Gunsu. And I think the mob boss even stabs him. And is like, this is how it feels to be stabbed. Which was weird.
Okay.
And I feel so bad because Gunsu is, like, still in his, like, business attire. And is just, like, fucking moaning, like, Secretary Kim from the K2. Because I think he got, like, stabbed in the leg. So he's just like, but yeah. So, the mob boss seems like he's about to kill Gunsu. He's like, this ends now, or something like that. And Gunwon has to step in and stop him and tells the mob boss that he should focus on Yiso. And I think he says something like, you know, just focus on Yiso. She's gonna get away if you keep doing this. And the mob boss agrees and chills out. So the brothers have a chat and they realize that neither are happy. I think Gunwon tells Gunsu, you know, why did you come here? You've always gotten everything you ever wanted. And Gunsu is like, no, I haven't. And I was thinking, why would Gunwon think that Gunsu got everything he ever wanted? Just because he works at Janga
like, doesn't
now?
even have a family. Like, for years, he didn't even have a family and was treated like a shithead because he was like the quote-unquote bastard child. Like, what?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, he lived in a tiny little study room. Yeah, it's crazy.
Gunwon, on the other hand, got everything he wanted, but he fucked it up himself. Again, his own choices.
Exactly.
Nobody else's. Like, come on, dude.
100%. So Gunsu realizes that, hey, we must be brothers because we never choose the right methods to get what they want. And it's like, yeah, you guys are a bunch of dummies. I mean, Gunsu at least is kind of a somewhat lovable dummy, but both dumb. So we're back with Yiso. She is running for her life while the mob guys chase after her in a car. And there's a point where they almost have her, but then she, like, makes a hard turn and starts running through a field. And I think she calls them fucking losers. Like, that's a quote. As she runs away. She's just, like, hobbling.
I know. I think she tells them, like, they're telling her to, like, stop already because, like, you're not gonna win. We're gonna get you anyway. And she's like, whatever, like, you have to come and get me, you fucking losers. And she just keeps limping her little way over.
Yes. I thought her run, her limping run is, I feel like, how I look when I'm actually running.
No, I don't think so. I don't know that I've ever seen you run, but I doubt you look like that.
It's just because Alex realized that I don't really pick up my feet when I run. I just kind of, like, bounce as I'm walking, basically. Not a good runner.
I hate running. God.
Yeah, me too. Not fun. I used to run a lot when I was young. Did you know that I was in track in middle school?
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I used to be able to
far
run
away
a
from
lot.
that.
What?
I stayed far away from that in school. No, thank you. I've never had the running stamina.
Yeah.
And every time I run, I feel, like, wildly out of shape.
Same. I just get on my little, like, grandma stair stepper and just do that, which I haven't done in a while. But I mean, I just started doing it, and when I hadn't done it in a while. But it's hard. I don't like feeling tired.
Yeah.
I just want to be good at stuff. Like, when I watch an action movie or something and people are, like, kicking ass and running, I'm like, oh, God, I wish I could do that. Or, like, I wish I had the stamina to do that. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes with practice, like, when I'm practicing hard for, like, a Bowie show or something, I'm like, God damn. This is, like, a very exhausting song somehow. How is this song so tiring for me?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of stamina.
Yeah. Even when I'm just, like, playing bass, I think sometimes it's because, like, if a song is really hard, like, I stop breathing for some reason because I'm so focused. And then I get, like... But I think it's also just, like, I am using so much brain power or something, so much energy focusing, that by the end of it, I am also, like, winded.
Yeah, your brain is focusing really hard, and then your hands are doing two opposite things. And then you're just, like, standing, you're fucking keeping time, you're tapping your foot, and, like, it all, like, comes together as being an exhausting thing somehow.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
So funny.
Okay, so she calls these dudes fucking losers. She makes it to a road when she sees another car heading towards her, and of course it's Seori and Seungkwan, and as soon as they see her, and the other car driving straight towards them, Seori tells Seungkwan to step on it, and the two cars start to play chicken. Very nerve-wracking. Also, I thought that was an interesting move by Seori. He's like, he's like, just hit it. Yeah, he's like, let's do it. So the mob boss swerves at the last moment, and they still, like, hit each other, but they, like, don't get into a head-on collision, at least. And they get out of the car, and Seungkwan has a funny moment where he compliments the car and the amazing airbags. He's like, okay, the airbags work. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. Also because I'm like, yeah, that's, like, a fucking expensive-ass car. Like, I should hope that it held up right. So Seori calls out to Yiso, and she runs into his arms, and they cry, and Gunwon starts taunting them, and he's like, ha, you saved me some time, because now I don't have to go looking for you. But then Seori tells them that he's already called the cops. So I think he's basically just saying, you know, I've already called the cops, we should just end it here. Just leave. But then no, everyone wants to fight. And so Seung-kwan tells Yiso and Seori to run ahead while he takes care of the situation.
All right.
Yeah.
It's getting intense now. Really intense.
Yes.
So Gunwon drives after Seori and Yiso. And then Seung-kwan stays behind and he beats up all the gangsters and he's like doing jumps off the back of the car and shit and kicking them in the head. Like,
yeah.
Really intense. Yeah. He's still got it. Seori and Yiso are struggling to run since they're both severely beaten. So he just got out of the hospital from a car hit and run. Well, not really hit and run, but getting hit by a car. She's like all kinds of fucked up, whatever. And now he's tired and hurt again from his car accident. So it's all fucked. He tells Yiso this reminds him of the time they ran through Itaewon and he confesses his love for her. And then they have this moment in like the middle of the road and I'm like, guys, fucking save it for later. Get out of there. Like, what are y'all doing? You don't need to tell her you love her right now. Come on, y'all.
At least hide. Like,
I know, right?
Lay down
like,
in the field
hide
or something.
in a bush. Yeah, exactly. Not in the middle of the road where the car is coming towards you.
Yeah.
So Gunwon is ruining the moment. He's racing towards them. And Seori picks up a giant rock, which reminded me of the beginning where he almost killed Gunwon with a rock.
Yes.
But he throws the rock at the windshield and it makes Gunwon slam on his brakes and he kind of swerves. Seori hands Yiso his phone and he tells her the cops are coming and to run ahead while he deals with Gun. And she warns him that if he dies, she'll die too. Really intense statement here. Then we get an intense fight scene between the two boys. There's Seung-kwan and the mob boss happening as well. So Seung-kwan is also like telling this boss like how shitty he is as well. And I don't know if this is the scene. Did you write down his words to the boss? I don't remember.
I don't think I did.
Okay. Yeah, he basically... the boss says something about how it's all just business or something. And Seung-kwan is like, that's why you're such a shitty boss. Like, I never realized how shitty of a boss you were until now. And I'm glad I don't work for you anymore. So then we cut to Yiso running and her legs start to give out and the police and Detective O find her on the side of the road. Seori catches a second wind as Gun approaches him for the last time. Seori fucking attacks him and he throws dirt in his face and that freaks Gunwon out and he like can't see shit. Then he punches him so hard he flies in the air and he falls on his back. And it's one of the most intense punches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was like superhero punch.
It really was. I wasn't certain. I was really wondering if Seori was gonna, like, actually kill Gunwon or, like, seriously injure him with a rock. Because I think the show even cuts back to when Seori was, like, beating up Gunwon that time at the hospital.
Yeah, I know it comes up at some point. I don't remember where. What spot specifically? There's a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I was like, is he gonna take the rock? There's a bunch of big rocks. Oh god. But yeah, so that didn't happen.
Seori is exhausted and he thinks about his conversation with Yiso about how life may be hard and repetitive, but there are times when it can be exciting and fun. And then Yiso and the cops arrive just in time. And she holds him while he thinks, let's be happy.
Everyone is okay. So, we are now with Suwa, and she is at the prosecutor's office with all of the evidence against Janga. And then we see a team raiding the Janga quarters, or headquarters. And I was like, yes, I love it in TV shows where a company goes down and you see, like, the law enforcement or whatever raiding the business and they just like come in with boxes and everyone's like, no.
I don't know why I got flashbacks of Schitt's Creek episode 1 when they're just coming and taking all of their stuff, and Moira's just, like, screaming and trying to save her fucking wigs and shit.
So funny. Yeah. So, shit's hitting the fan. Secretary Kim reports all of this stuff that Suwa was the whistleblower, and now that rumors of the corruption are public, the pub owners are demanding compensation. And Gunsu adds that they are on the brink of bankruptcy and the board wants to sell. So, yes, everything is going down the drain.
It was nice to see... Sorry, it was nice to see Gunsu because last time we saw him, he was on the ground with a fucking stabbing and he was all beaten. And then they just didn't show him again that whole time. So it's like, what happened to him?
I thought the same thing. I was like, well, I'm glad that someone found him and he's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like he was just totally left behind there. Because even the boss left and then Gunwan left. Like, they all fucking just left him behind.
Well, maybe Yiso was like, I left Gunsu back at the warehouse.
Yeah. Gunsu's there somewhere.
Yes. So President Jung can't believe that the board would agree to selling the company at such a loss. Because, again, they're like, no one wants them. Because everything is going downhill for them. But Gunsu says there is one firm who has offered them a reasonable price.
I wonder
who. So, I love this scene. Okay, Hojin goes to visit Gunwan in prison, but Gunwan still doesn't really recognize him.
So
and Hojin, yeah, I know. Hojin refreshes his memory and is like, I am like the financial manager, or I don't know if he's like CFO or something of IC. I used to be Min Jung's financial manager, and I was the fucking kid you bullied in high school. And then Gunwan, again, has his shook-looking face. He's like, oh, shit. And then Hojin says, this whole thing between Siri and you started with me, and now I get to wrap things up, too. And I honestly never thought about it that way. That, like, Hojin being bullied by Gunwan was, like, the catalyst for this whole thing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, like, his dad still might have gotten run over by Gunwan, because Gunwan is just a shithead not paying attention. But I think circumstances might have been a little bit different.
Exactly, because then maybe his dad wouldn't have been fired or quit. And all that stuff. So, wrap things up. So now that IC has taken over Janga, Hojin wanted to see Gunwan without his background. And I think he even says, like, you used to say that the law didn't matter to you because your background would save you, or something like that, something to that effect. And Gunwan looks like a madman. He's fucking furious, and he's, like, yelling at him, and then Hojin is again a badass and tells Gunwan to stop whining and says, I forgive you. And then Gunwan starts to yell and is dragged away by the guards. And again, like, I don't know what Gunwan fucking expected. Like, well, I guess a big part of Janga's downfall was Suwa being a whistleblower and reporting all of their corruption. But also, I'm like, did you really not think that, like, that you kidnapping fucking Yiso and Gunsu and trying to kill Seirui would have no effect on the company? Like,
I know.
It's confusing because I think at one point he tells his dad, like, the best thing you can do now is just abandon me again. So I don't know if he wanted that to happen and he wanted his dad to just distance himself from Gunwan again.
He already had, though. That's the fucked up thing. Like, his dad didn't even show any interest in him at all.
Yeah, I don't know what his mode... I don't understand him as a person.
It's very odd. And then he also basically said that he had already thought about consequences and didn't really care. But part of those consequences are the company.
Yeah.
He's not well.
No.
I don't think there's really any explaining what he's trying to say or do or what he means, because I don't think he even really knows what he means. I think he's just angry and upset and doesn't know how to handle his emotions.
Very true.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
We then cut to Minjung and Detective O. They have a nice moment as she's leaving Pajin and she's returning to Seoul. Haewon is annoyed at her dad's romantic incompetence, and just as she's about to leave, he calls out to her and offers to give her a ride, which is nice. It's nice to see that, like, Haewon is, like, pushing for her dad to fucking make a move and not be a wimp. And Minjung seems into it.
Yes, I think there's a line where he says something like, well, I guess I won't really be seeing you very much anymore. And she is like, that's up to you. Like, if you want to come visit me, we can still hang out. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. And I think that's when Haewon is like, oh my god. You're so stupid.
She's throwing you a hint here, yo. Take it.
Yes.
Suwa goes back to Jungga for the last time to get her personal belongings, and she's stopped by Secretary Kim, and he tells her that no one will hire her now that she's a whistleblower. And she asks why he worked so hard for President Jong, and he just replies, I'm a salary man. Oof.
Yeah.
Yep. There are a lot of people that are just salary men / women.
Mm-hmm. Just
shitty.
Do whatever.
Just get the job done and go home and forget about your work.
Mm-hmm.
President Jong starts making calls trying to get out of the IC takeover, but Gunsu points out that it's like President Jong's favorite saying, quote, the strong prey on the weak, and right now, they are the weak. And there's not really anything they can do in this situation to turn things around. They're fucked.
Yeah, and then President Jong gets all mad at Gunsu. He's like, get out of here.
He can't take it. He can't take that realization. We then cut to... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, and it's kind of funny, because I think, like, Gunsu obviously, like, doesn't really give a shit anymore. It kind of seems that way anyway. Because this is totally President Jong's own doing. It's not like Seri really bested him in some unexpected way. Like, if President Jong just wasn't such an asshole and a corrupt, crazy person, then they probably would have never, like, been in this situation in the first place. So, yeah. He has no one to blame but himself.
Same with Gunwon. We then cut to Seo-yi, who's getting chewed out by Yiso's mom about the kidnapping. And he apologizes and agrees to take care of Yiso. And then as she's leaving, he calls her mom. And this pleases Yiso, and her mom at first is like, Mom? But then she's like, it's okay. And she's totally into it. And back of her mind, she's like, he's fucking rich. It's okay. He can call me whatever he wants. Yiso is playfully teasing Seo-yi as they leave the hospital, saying that he promised to take care of her. She asks if he likes her, and he replies, no, I love you. And then she's like, cute. Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you. And he's like, what? She's like, say it again. I didn't hear you. And then he has to say it again. And then she's just like super giddy and silly about the whole thing.
Yeah, he's like all embarrassed.
Like he's like whispering it almost. Like, dude, you're like 30-something. Come on.
Yeah. It's cute. So we are now with Lone Shark Grandma as she gets, Tony's grandma. Love her. I wouldn't have minded another scene between her and Tony also.
I know.
Like, if Tony was just there hanging out with her. Yeah. Man, I know it's really sad that Tony's dad died, but he really lucked out into having a rich grandma.
Seriously. Yeah.
I bet she's taking care of him. Especially because she has all that guilt for, like, abandoning her son. Good for Tony.
She seems like a cool grandma, too.
Yeah. So, yeah. So she gets a call from President Jang, and he tries to tell her that he followed her orders not to mess with Seori anymore. So stupid. And she tells him, no, you just can't anymore. It's not that you're, like, following my directions. You just are unable to mess with him. So then he starts to beg her to help him. And she asks him what his motives for running Janga are now. And I think she says, at first, I invested in you because your mission was to create a company so that your family would never starve, which, is admirable. But at some point, his motives kind of took a turn, and now he's a crazy person. And so she's asking, like, why are you still doing this? Like, what are you doing now? And he doesn't really give her an answer. He just says, I think he says something like, I've always been a good investment to you. I've never had any losses. And she just sighs because she's just over all of his bullshit. And she tells him that they are no longer mutually beneficial. Like, dang. Cold. So, President Jang meets Seori outside of Danbam, and Seori welcomes him. Seori personally cooks for him. I thought it was funny how the girls who now work at that location are just like, who is he? It's just so funny because I think there are people who are quote unquote important people, but just like so often the regular person has no idea who they are and like doesn't care about them at all.
Yeah, they were basically just like, he looks familiar. I don't know who he is. But they were just like, he must be important because they're both here. Seori and Yiso, like, the boss wouldn't come for nobody.
Yeah. Totally. I think I like how they call her Miss Jo. Or that's how the subtitles say, like. Because I'm thinking, like, Yiso's probably not that much older than those girls. Like, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, so Seori's cooking, and President Jang seems to really enjoy Seori's food. It looked very good to me.
It did. It was soft tofu something or other.
Yeah, the soft tofu stew. Yum. So, President Jang is just, like, chowing down. And
slurping away.
I think they even mentioned, like, how it's Seori's dad's recipe.
Yes.
And he's like, oh,
and he says something like, I remembered this taste, or like, this was familiar.
Yeah. But then Seori kind of like puts a damper on the situation when he says, like, so yeah, I am pursuing the takeover of your company. And President Jang stops eating, and Seori adds that he's putting Minjung in charge. And I'm like, yes, good for Minjung. And he plans to change the company name as the Janga name is now tainted. So basically, President Jang has lost everything. He can't even keep the company name. Like, it's done. President Jang admits that he didn't bring any money. And he's like, but I could pay in some other way. And starts to kneel. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, no one else cares about kneeling except for you.
Except for him, yeah. No one takes it to, like, that level. And it's almost like in his eyes, it was like, well, if I kneel for him, maybe he'll throw me a bone. Like, I kept saying for him, like, kneel for me, and I'll make the situation with Gunwan, the fight or whatever, go away. With my power or whatever. Like, I feel like that's what he was hoping for.
100%. But yeah, Seori says that even though he's wanted this moment to happen, it's actually not that satisfying. Again, what Suwa said a few episodes ago. And he tells President Jang that this situation is no longer personal and that it's just business. And I think he tells President Jang, like, you think I'm a pushover? Like, you honestly think I'm gonna help you out just because you're crying and kneeling on the floor? Like, I'm a businessman. And then President Jang is just, like, a mess, and he's lost it and is just, like, crying. Still in the kneeling position, and I was
bad
thinking,
tears.
Like, he's old. I'm sure it's, like, hard for him to get in that position and then subsequently, like, get out of that position.
I kept wondering, like, what are those poor girls gonna think when they walk in there to take the food and this old man is just kneeling, sobbing?
Yeah.
What?
Sadie and Yisha just walk away, leaving him. Yeah. So, the IC takeover is approved by the shareholders / board people or whatever. All those business folk. And Sadie gives a nice speech, basically, like, giving a shout out to his dad and saying, like, you know, we're going to value people and relationships and trust and good food over, like, money and all this stuff. Which I thought was interesting because I'm like, you don't typically want to say that to shareholders who are usually just focused on money, but whatever.
Yeah.
So afterwards, Sadie approaches Gunsu, and they have a little chat. Sadie asks why Gunsu resigned, but still voted for Sadie to take over the business or whatever. And Gunsu says that he's always hoped that Sadie would achieve his goals. And it is one of those things, like, Gunsu never had any ill will towards Sadie. I think he was only just jealous that Yuso liked him. And he's like, I never wanted anything bad for you. Like, I always hoped you would achieve everything. And then he admits that he was the one who added Hyunyi and used Seungkwan to spy on IC. And he regrets doing all those things, trying to succeed, despite knowing that he would never win Yuso over. And I think he said something like that he just got into it too deep at some point. Like, he knew it wasn't going to work, but he just couldn't stop anymore. And Gunsu's kind of, like, word vomiting at this point, just, like, apologizing, and Sadie cuts him off and smiles, saying, "It's okay because you're just a kiddo," which is what he told Gunsu at the police station when Gunsu tries to take responsibility. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it is at the same time, like, belittling or patronizing to Gunsu, but it's also, like, Sadie recognizing, like, you were in a shitty situation, like, I get it. And
I think he's also, like, treating him like a little brother.
Yeah.
Just like, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to be mad at you. Like, this is just, you didn't know what you were doing. It's fine.
Yeah, totally.
You're younger. Seo-yi and Sua talk on the phone, and she shares the story of paying his dad back by being the whistleblower. He thanks her and says he'll always cheer for her, and she tells him to live happily, and then they hang up. And then we see that Sua is finally free, and she looks so much happier now, which is good.
Yeah, totally.
Live your life, too, finally. Like, she kept telling him that he needed to live his life and just be happy, but, like, she was never doing that. It's kind of interesting. At Danbam, we finally see Tony, but he's sad because his girlfriend broke up with him. And Seungkwan arrives saying Gunsu called him, and he tries to tell Tony to get over the heartbreak, and Tony points out that Seungkwan is single, so he wouldn't understand. And Hyunyi laughs at him, and then Tony gives Seungkwan the movie tickets that he was going to use with his girlfriend. And he's kind of looking at them like, oh, okay, I have 2 tickets now. Then some foreign couple arrive at the pub, and everyone always gets scared when foreigners come in for some reason.
Yeah. Is he just like, oh, not Korean people, like...
Yeah, I think it was not Korean people. Like, I don't know how to approach these people. I don't know what to say to them. But Tony just, like, jumps up and starts speaking perfect fucking English. And Seungkwan and Hyunyi are impressed. Then Gunsu arrives, and he confesses all the terrible things he did to Seungkwan and Hyunyi. And they both hit him, but they also quickly forgive him. And Hyunyi, like, punched him really hard in the stomach. She tells Gunsu that he should stick around to see Yiso, but he's like, nah, I'll see her later since, like, I'm still a kid or whatever. Like, he doesn't want to, like, face her, I guess. He ends up, though, running into her on his way out, and he explains that he wanted to apologize to Hyunyi and Seungkwan before he goes to the U.S., and she points out that an apology won't fix things, And she starts to walk off, but then Gunsu calls her back and asks if they can part ways with a handshake. She asks if things are over between them, and Gunsu says he doesn't deserve it. Wait.
Oh, like he doesn't deserve to be with her or whatever.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And then she pulls him in for a hug and says that he does. Then she recalls how he was always faithful to her, and she apologizes for taking advantage of his feelings and treating him like shit so many times. Mm-hmm. And she thanks him for always caring for her and wishes him well. Nice little goodbye. Nice send-off.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciated that Yiso was like, I always knew you liked me, and I always felt like loved by you, even though I couldn't reciprocate. And she admitted to taking advantage of him. I was like, yeah, it was very satisfying for everyone, I think. So Hyunyi and Yiso go on a mission to spy on a new restaurant, and they are surprised to learn that it belongs to Suwa. And Yiso immediately turns into a little brat kid again. And she's like, oh, this belongs to you? Okay, whatever. And then she says, you know, Seirui and I are dating. And Suwa is like, yeah, I heard. I'm happy for you guys. And she seems, like genuinely happy. And I think she tells Yiso that she's glad that it's her that's dating Seirui. And Suwa offers to treat them to some tea and food from her restaurant, but Yiso seems embarrassed and just storms off. And Hyunyi is like, what's happening?
Hyunyi looks very uncomfortable and just runs behind her.
Yeah, she's like, sorry, we'll come back later. So Suwa returns to her restaurant to find a handsome young guy. Park Bo-gum cameo, everyone. He, I think, is like one of Park Seo-joon's friends, and he's part of that, like, whatever, hot young guy actor gang. So this handsome young guy is interviewing for a chef position. Suwa and her friend / investor Hong Sok-chon are super smitten with him, and Suwa basically hires him immediately. Like, he cooks for her, and she takes one bite of his food and is like, can you start tomorrow?
Her investor is so funny.
Yeah.
When she's saying, like, she needs to try the food first before she hires him. And then when she first takes a bite and he whispers, like, you better like it. You better say it's good.
Yeah.
And then after she hires him, he's like, her investor's like, I'll be here every day.
Yes. I was thinking, like, I totally would not mind a spinoff of Suwa. Of just, like, Suwa's restaurant, like, seeing her with
the
her
shenanigans.
investor, and then, like, a budding romance between her and Park Bo-gum. It's interesting because he's also, I think he's a little bit older than Yiso. Just, like, the actors. I think he was born in, like, 1993 or something. So he's also a little younger, on the younger side. Anyway, so then we see Hyunyi and Seungkwan have a cute moment at the movies. And they basically go on a little date. It's not, like, ever said that they're on a date, but they...
kind of implied.
They just being cute and flirty, kind of. At the movies. And then Seirui and Yiso go on a date, and they talk about loving each other, etc. They finally have a real kiss. And then later on, the Danbam crew sits on their amazing rooftop, and they celebrate. And Tony's playing the guitar and singing, and it just looks like a perfect night. And Seirui grabs Yiso's hand, and we hear his dad's words say, how does it taste? After they, like, have a shot of soju. And Seirui smiles, and it's an end of the series.
Yay!
Until we get an epilogue that I thought kind of seemed pointless.
Yes, I agree.
It was just more nice moments between Seirui and Yiso, and I felt like it was just like, we didn't see them kiss enough. Like, let's throw in some romantic moments. Because I thought, like, oh, well, maybe we'll see, like, Issa or Suwa and Park Bo Gum together, or we'll see like fucking Gunsu like making his own way in America, and like I thought we were going to check in with all of the characters.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit longer too, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, cute.
That's fine. And that's the end.
Yes. Yay.
That was fun.
I concur. A very satisfying ending. So, no predictions, but how do you feel? Obviously, you said this was like your favorite, but...
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I felt like overall it was a really great story. It holds your interest the whole time.
Definitely.
And I personally like that it's not like all romance the whole time. Or all not like back and forth. Are we going to work this out? Is something going to happen? Yada yada. Like, I really liked the storylines. Again, definitely wish there was more Tony.
Yes.
Because Tony was really cool. I wish there was a little bit more of Hyunyi and Seungkwan together, because I'd really like to see a little bit more of their relationship kind of blossom. But I very much enjoyed it.
Same. Yeah, like I said, I really wish that epilogue focused on the like secondary characters.
Yeah.
But, oh well. We'll just have to like create that in our minds.
That fanfic.
Yeah,
so
I really liked this one.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I really liked this one. It felt very, like, I feel like in Korea they always use the phrase healing. Like, this is a healing drama. Like, it just felt good and satisfying to watch. Like, even though some moments were stressful and you were like, God, I hate President Jang, like, you still felt good about, like, everything Seri did. And
yeah,
it was a nice watch.
Yeah. So next episode we have our awards, which people will be voting on. We don't know what the categories are just yet. And then we need to think of our new drama.
Yes.
And
I have a list, actually, that I made this morning. But
cool. It was voted for an older one, right?
Yes.
Is that one? Okay.
Cool. I'll read some of the ones I have in mind now, but I was thinking maybe I could share this list with you, and you could pick some that you would maybe be interested in, because I don't want to, like... well, I think we should do, on our Twitter poll, I think we should have Coffee Prince and Uncontrollably Fond, since those were recommended to us. But then I also have Heirs, which is, I think, kind of like a young, I guess they're in high school. I don't know. It's a melodrama about young rich kids that is very popular. Fight for My Way, which is another Park Seo-joon drama. My Girlfriend is a Gumiho, which is a kind of fantasy drama. I think it's from like 2013. It's an oldie. And a Gumiho is a nine-tailed fox. It's like a Korean folk thing. Chicago Typewriter. This one isn't that old. I think that one's from 2017. But it is about these people who were alive during, I think it's like the 1930s, when Japan had occupied Korea, and then I think they get reincarnated and stuff. So it's kind of like a period, half period piece, half modern thing. And then Moonlight Drawn by Clouds, which I think has Park Bo Gum in it. And this is like a historical drama, and I think it is a thing where like the gender bending thing where a girl is pretending to be a guy. Same thing with Coffee Prince. A girl is pretending to be a guy in that one too. And then there is Weightlifting Fairy. So, yeah. So those are the ones I have listed. They're all kind of on the older side. Like Coffee Prince and My Girlfriend is Gumiho. And I think Heirs, they're all like pretty old. Some of the other ones, I don't think I picked one that was from before 2018.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'll send you that list, and if you want to pick 2 to put on the poll with Coffee Prince and Uncontrollably Fond.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
That would be cool. But yeah, I'm very excited. And now I'm like, I would just want to watch all these anyway, but except for Uncontrollably Fond. I'm sorry, because our, like, very faithful listener, Joshua, the one who emailed us, he is the one who recommended Uncontrollably Fond. And I'm like, I can't watch it. I know how it ends, and I don't want to be sad. Not in this climate. I can't take more heartbreak right now.
We'll have to see what the polls say, I guess.
Yes, I will respect the poll, though. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for that. Do you want to get into fashion and I love you / fuck you?
Yeah, I didn't really write much fashion because I was too into watching the show. But Same. I know in episode 16, when Seiroi is leaving the hospital, Iso with her mom, she's wearing like a black coat and it's got like a red thing on the back. And then I think she's wearing like an all black dress too. I just thought that look was really cool. That was a standout one for me.
Yeah, I said Seirei's blue suit was cool. Iso's mom's trench coat. Also in that scene, it was like part regular trench coat, part leather or black. I just assumed it was leather. It looked like that. Also, I said Seungkwan's skin looked amazing in these episodes. I don't know why. He just looked like so glowy and nice. Like his skin looked really clear. I feel like in previous episodes, his skin just looked like normal. I don't know if they like touched it up or what, but
got on a nice skincare regimen.
Yeah, he was doing some masks. And then I think like in a flashback, Iso's wearing a fluffy leopard print jacket.
Cool.
Yeah. I didn't write anything down for I love you / fuck you because I think it was just like too immersed and I couldn't pick a moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But I did really like Gunsu's redemption moments. Like him apologizing to Seiri and Hyunyi and Seungkwan. And I like that they didn't really hold it against him. I feel like enough time had passed so the wounds aren't like fresh. And obviously like it didn't really hurt Hyunyi or like the business in any way. Like I'm sure emotionally that was traumatizing, but you know, in the long run they all turned out okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought Seiri and Yiso's like romantic moments were nice, but they just weren't that compelling to me. I don't know. I might be like in the minority with that opinion, but I was just like, okay, like that's nice, but
they're together now. Cool.
I wasn't like really rooting for them to be romantic with each other. You know? Like I feel like in Strong Woman Bongsoon, like I really wanted her and Minmin to be together because I felt like their romantic chemistry was like really great.
Not that obnoxious cop.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, just be together. You guys are so cute together. But for them, like, I didn't hate them together. I was just like, that's nice. Good for you guys.
For my I love you moment, I would say when Iso and Gunsu say their goodbyes. And it's just clear that, like, everything's good. They're friends again. As they've always been. But now they're both, like, grown up. So he's not still obsessed with her, and she's not being a jerk, taking advantage of him or making him feel bad. It was just a nice understanding. Yeah.
Kind of similar to, like, Seiri and Sua's. Like, I'll always root for you.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Very nice.
Fuck you moment, we could say when President Jong kneels, expecting like some good news, and Seiryu's like, what are you doing?
Totally. That was such a good moment.
Yeah. That's when he truly learns he's not getting what he wants for once.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I think also just, like, Seungkwan basically, like, scoffing at President Jang making Seiryu kneel. Because his face is just priceless. And I think that is kind of what makes President Jang almost seem a little self-conscious. Because I feel like he looks at Seungkwan and is just like, oh, this guy is, like, not taking me seriously at all.
Yeah. This guy thinks I'm a joke.
Yeah. And then I think Gunsu has a nice moment where he basically tells his dad, like, we failed.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
We're the prey.
Like,
we're the prey.
Yeah, you fucking screwed us over, so...
Or Suwa giving him the thing with all the information.
Yes. So good.
He definitely wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, me neither. Such a good moment for her. All right. Well, do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I will be posting the poll probably a little later this upcoming week. And make sure to vote in that so we can hand out some awards for this awesome drama. And what else? I guess that is it. So yeah, the poll will be on Twitter. And last time I made a Google poll. I guess I could do that again for people who want to vote but don't have Twitter. So yeah, so I'll put the poll on our website, okdrama.com, and Twitter at okdramapod. You can also follow us on Instagram, okdrama podcast, and Facebook, okdrama podcast. And email us, okdramapodcast@gmail.com, or contact at okdrama.com. Everything will be in the show notes. I'll also link the Google poll, I think.
Good idea.
So, I guess I'll start that before before we release this episode.
Okay.
But yeah, so a little behind the scenes. Basically, Jill and I recorded 2 episodes in 1 week because we just wanted to keep watching.
This is true. Which is kind of nice because now we're a little bit ahead in our recording, which is nice in case we ever need, like, to hold off on recording at some point.
Yes.
Then we can, like, we have some episode, a little bit of time, you know? So that's good.
Definitely. 100%. Yeah. So I guess that is it. Vote, vote, vote. And we will talk to you guys at the OK Drama Awards.
Wear your best outfit.
Yes. Alrighty.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.